Both junglers really can get in level 2, get in some ganks early with just the right setup. Silas obviously can facilitate that. Annie as well if she starts with that stun.
Okay, Doran's shield for the stars makes a lot of sense. Has gone for the first strike, which is a little greedy maybe, but no, I mean, I dig it.
I am surprised not to see the Conqueror on him. I feel like it's going to be really hard for him to proc that first strike. Maybe just relying on landing a Q to proc it, get a little bit of extra gold. But I would have thought Conqueror might have been the better choice here.
Yeah, I think I'd agree, especially because if you go precision, you can get extra tenacity, which obviously is pretty nice up against all the CC that can come out from J-Team. But for me, in the early game, I think I'm looking a lot towards like mid-jungles from both teams, right? Strong 2v2s as well as ganks set up on both sides. Have to feel like there will be a lot of pressure. And seeing something like a Jarvan Lee Sin matchup, it feels like we've gone back in time a couple years because this is something we haven't seen in a while. You know, it's been those kind of Vi Wukong trades. Ooh.
Yeah, as we do see this fight starting down bot, Enso does have to use that barrier and loses more health actually. So a better trade for BYG, although getting pushed onto J-Team might allow for a level 2 sort of more pressure going towards BYG.
They do secure the push. At the same time, losing the level 1 trade as a Hail of Blades range support is not very common. And we kind of see the old triple lane setup here. I feel like there won't be too much action in mid and top, at least in the 1v1 early game. Perhaps some ganks, though, could look towards mid lane. But I think bot lane in the 2v2 is probably the place to watch.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that, although we have seen yesterday quite a lot of trading be done between the K'Sante and the Jax, and it has led to kills typically in favor of the K'Sante. But right now we do see Jax at an early lead.
Both junglers here are pathing towards bot. And there's kind of reason to, right? On the side of J-Team, you have to protect your double range lane, allow them to keep pushing. On Kongnue's side, he gets a lot of KP, and what better place to get it than ganking the Nautilus lane, right? Probably the best gank setup on his team, at least at the moment.
Yeah, and they do know that barrier's down, so the Ashe is just a little bit more vulnerable, as Kongnue is looking down here, as is Lalva. We are going in, flash forward, it is spell shielded. Fantastic spell shield out of Bruce, and that just thought, oh no, we do see him take the Q. Enso's lost almost all of his health at this point.
Yeah, I think Lalva might need to stay around and just help fix the wave. They might actually re-engage. The hook is almost up.
Yeah, Ward jumps forward. Does look to back away. Has to be a bit careful. He's getting quite low.
There's lots of damage traded off the back, though. Is Hook going to be up again? I don't think so.
Yeah, well, we lost both summoners here on the Sivir. We did also use both of Kino's summoners as well, but Feng, both summoners up. Enso does have that flash, but extremely low as Kongnue has come in, I suppose just to help push this wave a little bit faster.
Yeah, probably just need to at least guarantee that it's going to crash, and it looks like it will, and so it's pretty low, so unable to kind of hold this wave anymore, but a lot of sums traded out from J-Team's bot lane, right? They've used 3 sums already. Feng managed to keep both of his, which is definitely nice.
Yeah, and we see here Minji winning out against that melee Silas, which is to be kind of expected early, but Minji, 1116 has really done a good job of last hitting at least, of trading, I guess, some of that mana, some of that health to receive those minions. 1116 has to be careful here. Jarvan just over the wall at his Raptors.
Yeah, there's a lot of gank set up from both sides, although 116 is getting pretty tanky, right? We'll be itemizing towards the Catalyst very early into the game, which makes it kind of hard for them to deal with. And Minji, it'll be interesting to see what item he goes for. There's lots of options on the Annie, the Roa, the Liandry, the Ludens.
Yeah, Lakai getting some pressure up here by Lalva. It is spotted out on a ward, but the ward would be clear, so I imagine Lakai probably just going to try push this in and recall.
Minji hasn't yet based, so perhaps trying to wait for either a Catalyst or a Lost Chapter buy. He's getting a bit greedy though, and has Enso nearby to help him if need be. Long is going to clean up this wave, equalize up that top lane CS.
Yeah, and Lakai has picked up a Sheen now that does really sort of impact how these trades go in top. Landing that Q, if you are able to then follow up with that passive auto attack, it really does put out a lot of damage, especially if you get a grass proc as well. It's so much, like, unexpected damage can come out, so got to be more careful in these trades now that the Sheen has appeared.
Bot lane, can they look to punish Bruce's sums? They're perhaps looking to get aggressive in the 2v2. They have Kongyue in the wings once again. It's the Catalyst picked up by Minji, so we'll be going towards that Rod of Ages. And now with the Dirk on Feng, they have a lot of aggression here in the early game, right? And Kongyue is actually looking for a lane gank bot.
Yeah, and Long getting low, but we haven't gone on. Kino has landed the hook on Enso. Flash used, barrier used. He has gone down for first blood to Feng.
Oh,
1116 getting real lippy. He does get in there. Will he survive? I don't think so. And they're traded, but 2 for 1.
he does end up going down. I wonder if that 1-for-1 at the end is actually slightly better for BYG, right? Because look at how much is going to be denied onto Bruce, who is, again, one of the main carries of this roster. So really big win, I think, overall for BYG. Minji manages to trade some gold back mid, but perhaps not enough. So let's look at this. Enso is the one actually with sums, right? It's Bruce the one who does not have them. And the hook is found onto Enso very early, who rather than flashing over the wall, flashes down, and I think then is just cleaned up by double flashes from BYG. 1116, he invests flash and ult to clean up Bruce. Does end up going down. The sum usage is perhaps not worth it, but I think in terms of gold, it certainly is, right? Bruce gets denied pretty heavily. Now Feng finds himself with a pretty significant lead in bot lane.
Yeah, and as we've consistently seen, you want this Varus to get ahead because it's kind of, there's no point in using it otherwise. Obviously the poke Varus this game. So yeah, really putting some focus down there, and a lot of sort of deaths and summoner usage has been seen already down in this bot lane. So I feel like BYG are doing what they need to get ahead. Dragon does go towards J-Team though, but it is a 1k gold lead at the moment.
Yeah, the gold lead, it's not the biggest, but I think importantly it is kills on the right people, right? A kill on the Varus and kill on the Sylas. Probably your 2 hardest snowballers on this matchup, or on this... Ooh, actually,
yeah,
Hook connects, is spell shielded.
Really good usage of spell shield so far from Bruce.
Okay, he's going to walk into lava, both level 5.
Yeah, Lava does want to do this. We do see a collapse from Minji. Does have flash tippers available with that stun. Might not be able to get into range.
Yeah, can't quite close the gap. Does not have any movement speed. No boots or anything picked up. So very close. Hook comes out again. Spell shielded once more. Looks like Kongyue will just ensure that once again a good wave state for his bot lane. Although Lava is looking bot and Feng does not have flash. And Kongyue might even be too low to stay. I think BYG could be in trouble here.
Yeah, this is worrying. There it is caught out on a ward, so BYG will just back off. And at level 6, once these bot laners are level 6, the spell shield is no longer be as reliable to like get you out of trouble, right? If you get hit by that hook and spell shield it, Chain of Corruption can very easily follow up and you'll just be trapped there. So gotta watch out at level 6, maybe the dynamic of bot lane changes a little bit.
Yeah, definitely could. Herald is up now, and with Dragon already been picked up by J-Team, there's not going to be a trade, at least in terms of the actual objective. Although I wouldn't be surprised to see BYG go for some sort of dive, but it actually looks like both bot lanes will path mid out of base. So potentially could see a 5v5 Herald contest, or more likely, I feel like J-Team, once they see that BYG's bot lane is here, should probably just go back bot. I think want to avoid a fight into this Dirk Varus. Although, I mean, they have good team fight. And they have mid priority as well.
Yeah, and both bot laners are headed up towards this Herald, so it looks like it is matched. See what we're looking for here. Kino going in first, clearing out some of that vision. Herald is still aggroed. We do have Dragon's Rage on Lee Sin. Flashing 3-man stun by Minji. Chain of Corruption does come out, and Piercing Arrow kills the Jarvan real quick. All out from Cassante and a follow-up kill onto Long. So that's 2 going down for 0.
And I think perhaps off the back of that, the Herald might even be able to pick up. I mean, the initial engage from J-Team looked good, but I think they just lack a little bit of damage, right? Kongyue lives on 1 HP and Varus picks up, what, another 2 kills in that fight? I think it's kind of weird to so heavily contest that when your Annie is still scaling, right? I don't even think had the blasting wand by that time. And Bruce as well, very weak in that fight compared to Varus. I'm surprised they're so heavily contested and now find themselves at a 3k gold deficit.
Yeah, Lava also importantly was only level 5, so didn't have the best sort of follow-up on that Tibbers. Imagine if he had Cataclysm at that stage, might have been a whole different fight, but just hitting level 6 now. Rift Herald does go over to BYG. We'll see where they tend to use it.
Pretty significant gold lead, I think, now, as well as you still have the Herald, right, so can do even more. And I noticed 1116 already picked up the Rod of Ages, so again, kills going on the right people. And definitely can start to snowball even further here. Perhaps we'll see another fight on the Dragon in just a minute and a half now.
And what do you think J-Team sort of have to do to find themselves a little bit of room in this game? Obviously, not the end of the world, a 3K gold lead, but they do need to find something, find a place where they can look to be that facilitator for this team. What do you think is sort of the area to look for?
I think their engage is still really, really good, as well as their snowball potential. I think if you can either engage on Feng before any of the poke hits, that can definitely be good. Perhaps can pick up a teamfight win just off the back of killing him. Alternatively, I think try and let your mid and AD scale up to 2 items. I think you probably still have the scaling advantage in this game. But, you know, if we look back at that fight, right, still didn't have the items needed and also engaged onto, I think, 1116 and Kongyue instead of Feng, right? So even though damage was done to them, Feng went unopposed in the backline and picked up 2 more kills.
Yeah, he did, and he does have the Yomus, so maybe a little bit less damage than usual than if you get the Mythic first, but definitely a lot more sort of survivability and room to breathe in these team fights.
Herald will be dropped bot. There are members around, but Feng has all sums. And perhaps they can play, yeah, perhaps not for anything more than a few more plates. Kongyue's still in the area. I don't think there can be any dive, though. There's a lot of members nearby. I am a little surprised that Minji ended up going for the Roar. We've kind of talked about this before, but it feels like several games have been perhaps not decided, but could have been heavily impacted by a stronger early game build. And I think this game of all, right, Liandry's would be so valuable. Something you sometimes see Annie's go for is the Liandry's Rylai's combination. It gives you a lot of dot damage, as well as the Bear just providing that AoE slow. And here, I mean, look at all the health stackers, right? The Nautilus, Silas, Lee, and Cassante. I feel like it's the Dream Liandry's, and perhaps have had a bit more damage in that fight, although...
Yeah, Chain of Corruptions does land, followed by the Subjugate, and Bruce will be going down. That is a 4th kill picked up by Feng. He's having another amazing Varus game.
Certainly is. Now 4-0. Pulling very far ahead, and they get a Dragon as well. Perhaps can even drop this bot tower. Kongyue probably doesn't even need to be here, but just, you know, wants some gold of his own and can perhaps speed this up just a little bit.
Yeah, maybe trying to look to actually get that tower before the 14-minute mark. It is going to be hard, but another wave will be coming soon.
I think it will go down on the next wave for sure, or maybe even on this one.
Yeah, Kongyue just taking up the last 2, and that's massive. More gold funneled into this Varus, as we do look to try and answer it on the top side. Lakai will be extremely tanky, though. Trying to get away, and he will.
I think Cassante almost up there in Scion tier in terms of one of the most difficult champs to trade against, right? Just a player's made bot. It makes sense J-Team want to make a play top, but Cassante is just so difficult to trade against. And it's only 13 minutes in, and BYG have, what, 5,000 gold lead here? So much of that is on Feng, who finds himself, you know, more than 2k gold ahead of his opponent already. And I think Beyond Gaming, they should feel that they want to contest everything at this point. There's no way JTN can stand up to them in fights.
Yeah, interesting enough, Lalva is the one on his team with the kill, and no KP anywhere else, but he is the lowest gold on his team besides that, Ash.
A lot of pings around mid. Can they look to pressure this tower? I feel like if you can actually take this tower down before Sivir gets... Well, I guess she's got the Kraken. She's already hit the wave clear she needs. Maybe looking for a play on long.
Yeah, looks like it might work out. Nice Dragon's Rage kick. Doesn't land the lockout, but Cassante does go all out. With that extra true damage, he just needs to find one more leap.
Long actually doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, Long trading back. Maybe gets his 1v2 kill. He's looking for the second, but he doesn't quite get it. But an amazing trade there by Long.
Fight comes out mid and Feng picks up another one.
Yeah, we see them continue on the hunt towards 1116. He does manage to flash out of range of that Tibbers. But good trading on the map here by J-Team, and Long with some heroics up top managing to pick up a kill in a 2v1.
Yeah, really well played by Long. Ultimately, it still ends up being a 1-for-2, which sucks, right? Because if you're Long there, you trade 1-for-1 in that 1v2, you're expecting your team to be able to do something elsewhere on the map, but instead, you know, the tower ends up going down all the same, and you lose that mid fight as well. So definitely rough here for J-Team, falling further and further behind. Now 6.5k gold down.
They certainly are. And if you're Long in solo queue at that moment, you're certainly typing in chat to your team. You really just... He played very impressively, although maybe a little bit too high on the gun of Lakai. We did see a similar thing yesterday, but here's the replay.
Yeah, so initially it starts off very well. I think League tried to predict perhaps a flash, so I actually kind of like that. Long flashes away, and I think here, as League, you probably just, after you hit or miss that, you probably just need to back away, kind of like what Kongyue does. Instead tries to fully commit, and Long does importantly trade one over. And looking at the mid fight, I'm not even sure what happened. I think Lava was trying to find the flank and was just caught out on the side. Immediately one shot. Also a really nice flash from 116 to avoid that there. And Long must be frustrated, right? Manages to trade evenly in that 1v2, but is not looking like enough.
We'll see if that does impact the sort of 1v1 matchup up there. Obviously, him getting more gold than Cassante for that exchange.
Dragon only in a minute here, and I think Dragon is obviously important win condition, but Beyond Gaming's so ahead that I think they can just look to end the game before it becomes relevant, right? Can perhaps look to, look for Barons, perhaps even dives. Can they even Rift Herald this mid tower and stop Sivir from delaying the game further? It's always hard to actually end the game versus Sivir, but if you ever can get off a successful dive, it can definitely speed it up.
Yeah, and if Lakai ever does get to that Sivir, it's very hard for her to sort of survive, and as you say, there is a lot of dive coming out here for BYG, as well as sort of, if she does miss position, could get hit by that hook, subjugate, maybe Chain of Corruption, so a lot to watch out for, but certainly has a lot of wave clear to continue clearing these waves, at least until the Baron comes through.
Yeah, the Baron is definitely going to be, I think, the tipping point. If Beyond Gaming can manage to pick that up, they're really going to be able to snowball, stop Bruce from just wave clearing until 3 items. At the same time, Bruce obviously doesn't have any lifesteal early, and Feng is very fed on this poke Varus, right? So if he hits the right poke, can force him off just like that. At the same time though, Bruce does have the red buff, also has spell shield, so it's going to take a lot to actually get him down. And look at that wave clear coming out of Bruce on the Sivir. It's pretty insane, despite the fact that Beyond Gaming are much stronger on the mid wave. The wave just dies so fast. Dragon is started up.
Yeah, they're starting up Dragon, and we do see a lot of vision getting placed in the bot side quadrant, so I don't suspect there'll be any contest. But we do, however, see J-Team sort of posturing towards that top lane, maybe looking for something onto Lakai to answer.
Can they look to trade anything? Feels like it's pretty tough. Dragon will end up going over to Kongyue and still has the Rift Herald. I have to think it will go mid.
Looks like Lakai's winning out on a trade here up top.
Yeah, even after the solo kill, is managing to still win the trade, which does feel good. Herald goes down mid, and this should be the mid tier 1 going down. Could maybe even play for more if they can get members around. Looks like it will just be the 1 though, and actually doesn't even end up going down.
We do have Ashe ult taken by 1116, so do have to be extra careful here.
The mid tower staying alive is really important for J-Team, right? Although it's not super healthy, you can keep it alive at least for a little bit longer. And that really slows down Beyond Gaming from snowballing their lead, even further. And it's kind of just steadily increased, right? You can see on the gold difference, hasn't been one play that's just massively elevated them ahead. Instead, it's just been consistently, slowly winning fights, taking more objectives. And they find themselves, 7,000 gold ahead now.
Yeah, kind of methodically growing that lead, right?
Has been good play out of them. 116, he has the Ashe ult. Can he look to use it on anyone? I feel like not the Sivir, but can perhaps just throw it down mid and see what happens.
Yeah, and if it does hit on that, obviously she will just die unless, of course, she spell shields, but here we do see posturing again towards this mid tower. It is just so incredibly hard to take away from J-Team just with that Sivir. We saw it earlier again tonight as well with the Sivir. Getting this mid tower especially is just the hardest part, but once you break that, you really do start to gain things elsewhere. So, but again, minion wave just disappears.
It really does. It's just so hard at Siege into the Sivir. I feel like you kind of have to be able to bring both side lanes at the same time to just really force her off the tower. Alternatively, could maybe bring her out. And I think this is what they're doing, right? Both side lanes are around mid right now. If they can't break it here, they can't break it anytime.
Yeah, and it does look like it is given. So that's huge for Beyond Gaming, opening up the map a lot. Lakai will just go back to his top lane.
Okay, so things do go back to normal, but yeah, that mid tower being down, it allows Beyond Gaming to start to snowball this lead even further, start looking at those tier 2 side lane turrets, and also take away some of the jungle camps.
Long looking for something here, but Lakai will just back off, play it safe.
Lakai already has 200 armor. It's going to be extremely tanky in those team fights.
Yeah, he will lose a lot of it when he goes all out, but obviously that does turn into damage, so he goes from being a huge tank to a huge damage threat. Just one of the fun things of Season 2023.
Can he be dived here? I mean, Bruce is up here. Perhaps just wants to hit the top lane tower, grab some gold for himself. Looks like he will get some.
Top is taken down, so that's an objective bounty over towards both the AD cap and the Jax, which is massive for them to try and get back into this game, but ultimately is still sitting at almost a 7k gold lead.
It is a nice little bit of gold just to pick up, but it does come at a cost, right? Bruce will end up missing this mid wave. It is picked up by Enzo, who can use the gold, but certainly not as well as Bruce on the Sivir would. 2 minutes on the third dragon here, and I think that is most likely going to be the next place we look. Obviously, Beyond Gaming's Baron DPS is extremely low. Silas not particularly known for his Baron DPS, and the Poke Varus as well. Means you're going to really have to win a fight pretty handily to even look at the Baron, but still have plenty of other win conditions.
Yeah, it feels like with comps like this, you're not even really looking towards that Baron as a win condition, right? You're more trying to poke away. The Dragon is more the win condition in these sort of environments. However, obviously a big team fight win could lead to the Baron, and they are ahead enough to just claim one of those, given the right engage. And what is J-Team up to here?
They could maybe look at the Baron, but I feel like starting Baron up against the Poke Varus is always risky, right? It's kind of in the Gangplank tier of just being one of those champs that you just don't start Barons up against. BYG, though, using the fact they get a lot of this mid priority and they have that tier 2 tower down to actually break this tier 2. So this is what happens when that mid tower breaks.
Watch out for the Ash Arrow. It does land onto 1116. He will be stunned up by Anne, but does receive the Mikhails.
Mikhails on the
Nautilus.
Yeah, that's not often picked up, I feel like. But it makes sense in this game, right? There's a lot of CC coming out.
And maybe saw the game earlier where it kind of turned on its head due to those Ash Arrows and thinking maybe this is a way to prevent it, and I don't hate it at all.
Dragon now only 20 seconds away, and I think J-Team most likely will just give this one up. You can probably afford to give this one more and just keep scaling. I think at least try and hit 2 items on your carries before you contest something. If they try and contest this, I would be very surprised. Yeah, it looks like it just will be recall coming out from Love, and it should just be Beyond Gaming picking up this third dragon.
Yeah, and now heading in after this, assuming they do pick it up, which they are walking towards now, so I imagine they will. But after this, you've pretty much got 5 minutes on the clock to try and, get Sivir her second item there, which will be massive. Find Annie possibly her second, which I believe is going to be Shadow Flame. Jax already does have 2, so maybe looking at him join the fight to be a big influence.
He's very, very strong at this point. J-Team do have pretty good Baron DPS, but again, it just feels so hard to start it up. If they get an opportunity, though, could do it in a reasonable amount of time. And I think you're right, Minji going towards the Shadow Flame second. I think kind of makes sense, right? It's the solo AP. Maybe if you count Ashe as half, but yeah, we'll be able to pick that up before that 4th dragon fight. And that's what it's going to come down to. Obviously, J-Team, they are at a pretty significant deficit. Perhaps can get strong enough by 4th drag to contest it, but I'd say they still need at least a couple fights to kind of turn the game back in their favor. Baron, though, always something they can look at.
Definitely agree. It is, as you said before, it is a slow Baron, but with K'Sante, you can really tank it up for a while, and maybe you can just start it to sort of bait out that Jax to join or something, make him, get his teleport, so maybe it won't be ready for this dragon that's coming up. There are many things that Beyond can look to do here.
I actually look for some sort of engage. Recall just comes out. Finally, BYG can manage to regain control of this area. Perhaps want to look towards that top lane tier 2. Feels like that could be the next step, at least before this dragon. And I think this is a kind of a point in the game where a team like PSG continues to snowball at this point, but perhaps some of the lesser teams can't really find it, right? I think there's just kind of trading waves, waiting for drag. Would like to see pressure put on towards this top tier 2, especially with all the control they have around this top jungle. Baron is actually being hit here.
It is started off by Beyond. Now keep in mind it will be very slow, but J-Team yet to react entirely. They are headed towards this top river.
They know the DPS is slow. They have a lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of threats to get through, though. This Silas is 3 levels up on the AD carry, and Initiate, it has started onto the... well, just annihilates Larva and back onto the Baron. We do see Jax teleport in after taking bot tower. Lakai finding Minji by himself off on the side. Cataclysm also used on Bruce.
Still tanking this up, and it's getting very low. There's no smite for J-Team.
Yeah, Beyond does get it, and a fight is started onto Long. Long going into on Lakai, flashes away, stunned up by Nautilus, and we see Lakai going all out. This is where he starts to get a lot of that damage. Counter-strike and leap away, but will be taken out by Kongwei.
Just as I was saying, that Beyond Gaming weren't really doing enough with their lead. They managed to start up the Baron, and just the fact that they were able to tank it so long means that despite not having the DPS, they can actually just stay on it forever and find that engage on the Larva and take him out very early. Yeah. Also, electing not to base at all, right? They're just coming straight on the map, looking to just abandon recalls at all. Perhaps take this tower and then reset, I think? Yeah.
Yeah, after that Baron did go down, we did see Bruce take that middle tower, so perhaps that's why. But here's the replay of that fight around Baron.
I feel bad for Larva. Someone has to face check, and it kind of has to be him, but unfortunately misses the flag and drag out. Just gets taken out, and after that, you know, that's a lot of your engage gone from J-Team as well as your smite, which makes it quite hard to actually force the issue, right? 1116 actually keeps Bruce out just with the wall for a long time. And I think J-Team, honestly, they did what they could to kind of salvage the situation, but you really need your jungler alive to be able to contest this. And there were a lot of flashes burned in this team fight. I think both frontliners kind of traded. But ultimately, you know, it is the side of BYG to pick up the Dragon, and Long on the Jax is taken out at the very end of that fight.
Now, we got to see, there is 1 minute till this Dragon, and you got to feel with the Baron on the side of Beyond, they're just going to have so much pressure over these side lanes and have permanent presence around this bottom quadrant of blue team's jungle. Minji looking for something here, though. Jax coming in behind. Massive Cataclysm, but flashed away by Feng. Huge Q onto Larva. Larva will go down. Minji 1 HP. Kongwei, 1116 finds it. As Kongwei is now following Bruce. No ult does have flash on Bruce, so I suspect he will get away. But perhaps delaying him is enough for, you know, BYG to find something.
Yeah, they have 1116 on the flank. Kongwei can just play this slow and most likely will pick up the kill. Although Bruce is, you know, wasting kind of a lot of their time. Even flashes.
Yeah, finding a lot of damage here, actually, and they do have to be careful. Man, that was almost incredibly well played by Bruce, getting Silas down to just the 1 HP. But meanwhile, Lakai is pushing down mid. Does get the bottom inhib, and now mid inhib will also fall, as well as Dragon spawning in 5 seconds, and that will also go over to Beyond, although they are recalling first.
They should definitely get to the Dragon in time, and I think that'll be pretty much it. Honestly, I'd be very surprised to see J-Team come back from a deficit, right? This is a 14k goal, or sorry, yeah, 14? 13. Never math in public, as I say. Significant gold lead, you might say, for BYG, and they're going to get the Dragon as well, which is... You have to feel nail in the coffin, right? It's just so hard from the side of J-Team to come back to that. They can't even really contest this contest this Dragon, or the gold lead for that matter.
Yeah, not even looking for a steal, so this just will cleanly go over to Beyond, and I mean, they're pushing out top because obviously you don't want to lose that third inhib, but I kind of feel like Beyond can probably just end it through the other lanes that are already opened up.
Yeah, you don't have any time left on this Baron, although you can either end through the lanes you have, like you said, or you could just send 5 people top and probably siege it down. Right, Siva has all the wave clear, which is something we kind of saw earlier in the day. But if you can force enough members into the lane, it can be difficult for her to be everywhere at once. And then once she splits off, just engage on the rest of her team.
Yeah, and look at how massive the item difference is down in this bot lane. 4 completed items for Feng on this Varus versus just 2 and some components for Bruce on Siva. And you really just... Siva is, again, one of these champs that want to scale, and she just never is going to have the opportunity, as she does use Thrill of the Hunt, and Jarvan does go in. Larva literally 1 HP now. Long teleports in, double Cataclysm, but will go down. Long getting a massive trade there in the middle of the fight, but he will eventually go down. Not yet. Anyway, this is really, really messy. Kick away. Minji gets kicked away. Enzo uses the barrier. Massive piercing arrow comes through, and I feel like this will be the game. I don't believe Minji and Enso can really hold off this push.
Probably not. I don't think there's enough wave clear between them to actually do anything. So most likely, this will be BYG picking up the win in what is a very decisive game. They're still trying.
Yeah, it is close. They do have to be careful. You don't really want to give away all this, but once this tower goes down, Lakai does find a stun onto Minji, goes all out, finds another kill as Enso's just had a tickling Kongwei. Lakai lands a nice knock up there on Lava, and the game does end in favor there of Beyond Gaming. And now they're looking to contend for these playoff positions.
Yeah, Beyond Gaming, a much needed win for them and J-Team. You have to feel it's kind of a deal breaker for them, right? It's definitely at the point where you can't afford to lose these games if you still want to somehow sneak your way into the playoffs. And for BYG, I mean, very controlled game, I want to say. There was a lot of chaos towards the end, but I think, like you said, kind of methodically building up that lead. Also want to say, probably the best Varus performance, for Poke Varus at least, that we've seen, from what I remember.
Yeah, I'd say the same, although yesterday's Feng wasn't on hit Varus. Close contender for best Varus performance. I'd say between the two, they were the two best Varus performances we've seen, both by the same man.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely looks good on the Varus so far. Hasn't been a super successful pick in the PCS, but certainly came up big here. And I think, honestly, a lot of the game kind of fell apart at that first Herald, right? I was very surprised by the side of J-Team that they wanted to contest that, being so weak early. Perhaps they thought that Annie and Jarvan could carry it, but did not have the ult on the Jarvan.